I was still grasping the pie when my father told me not to return home again. It was a warm pumpkin pie, her favorite, which I had baked the night before using Mom's old recipe, the one with extra nutmeg and that peculiar half-teaspoon of maple syrup she always insisted on. I drove 3 hours through the fog to bring it to her, just like I did every year. It was Thanksgiving, and I thought I was home. We hadn't even said grace yet. The turkey was still uncarved, and the stuffing was steaming in the crystal dish Mom only used once a year. I was standing there, smiling and holding that pie, when Dad said, "Give back the $50,000, Rachel," or "Don't bother coming home again." At first, I thought I misheard him, or that it was a tasteless joke. Dad wasn't one for theatrics, and Thanksgiving wasn't supposed to be dramatic. Not in our family, at least. Not until that night. But no one laughed. Lisa sat across the table, hands folded in her lap like she was at a funeral. David was staring at the tablecloth, and even Mom, sweet, soft-spoken Mom, wouldn't meet my gaze. I couldn't sit down. I just stood there. The pie, tray suddenly feeling heavier than it should have. I glanced at it, as if it could explain what was happening. "Excuse me," I said. Dad's jaw tightened. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." "What exactly are you accusing me of?" Finally, Lisa looked up, her eyes red and mascara smudged as if she'd been crying for hours, but her voice was steady. "Mom's account, $50,000 disappeared last month, right after you helped her set up online banking." My mouth opened, but no. Sound came out. It was true that I'd assisted Mom with her accounts. She'd been anxious about going paperless, worried about the cloud. So I had sat down with her one Sunday afternoon, guiding her through the app, passwords, and security questions. She even wrote everything down in a little notepad we kept in the kitchen drawer. That was 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks. And now they were saying that was the moment I stole from her. "Are you serious?" I whispered. "You think I took Mom's money?" David finally spoke, his voice stiff as if it hurt to say those words. We didn't want to believe it, but the bank confirmed that the withdrawals were done online. No one else had access. No one except me. I looked at Mom. She didn't flinch, nod, or shake her head. She just picked up her napkin and pressed it to her mouth as if she might be ill. That's when it hit me. The pie, the traffic, the yearly ritual, none of it mattered. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was a suspect. I gently set the pie down on the edge of the counter, the tin clicking faintly against the granite. I picked up my coat from the back of the chair where I'd laid it earlier. I didn't speak. "You have until the end of the week," Dad said quietly behind me. "Then we go to the lawyer." I didn't cry in the car. I didn't scream, curse, or pound the steering wheel like they do in movies. I just drove, my coat still half-buttoned and the pie untouched on the kitchen counter behind me. The streets were quiet, lit by porch lights and paper turkeys taped to windows. It was Thanksgiving night, and the whole town smelled like gravy, cinnamon, and peace. Except for me. I checked into the same roadside inn I always passed on my way into town, but had never had a reason to stop at. The clerk didn't ask why I needed a room on a holiday, and I was thankful for that small mercy. The room smelled like old carpet and microwave popcorn. I kicked off my boots and sat on the edge of the bed, my hands still shaking. I was 34 years old, a senior forensic accountant trusted with millions in corporate audits, and my own parents thought I had stolen from them. The worst part? I wasn't even surprised, at least not completely. There had been signs, little things. The way Lisa rolled her eyes when Mom bragged about my promotions, the way Dad once asked, "Don't you think it's time to settle down? You know, live a little?" As if my career wasn't real life. Even last Christmas, when I offered to cover the cost of a new roof for the house, David muttered something about me trying to buy loyalty. I thought they were just joking. I thought we were still family. I lay back on the comforter and stared at the ceiling, trying to replay the day Mom asked me to help with her bank account. Every tap, every login, every password reset. Had I missed something? Had someone else seen the Ixia notebook we kept in the drawer that was always unlocked? Anyone could have opened it. Lisa still lived at home, off and on, depending on her situation. David had a key to the house. Yes, I was the one who walked Mom through the setup, but that didn't make me the only one who knew. Still, they believed it. They believed I waited for Mom to get sick just to take her money, $50,000. as if I needed it, as if I ever would. My phone buzzed, a text from Lisa. We didn't want it to come to this, but you made it hard to trust you. No happy Thanksgiving, no hope you're okay. Just that, as if I had broken something, as if I owed them an apology. I turned the phone face down. At work, I spent my days untangling hidden embezzlements, shell companies, and fake invoices. I knew what it looked like when money disappeared and when someone made it seem like someone else's fault. Right now, someone had made me their scapegoat. I stared at the ceiling until the lights blurred. If they wanted to treat me like the criminal in the family, maybe it was time I started investigating like one. The next morning, I woke early. No alarm, just instinct. Years of chasing corporate fraud had taught me one thing. Money never really disappears. It just gets redirected. The trick is knowing where to look first and who benefits. I poured myself a cup of bitter lobby coffee and opened my laptop on the motel desk. My firm had recently been investigating a pattern of elder financial abuse, retirees with modest savings accounts that suddenly drained in 3 withdrawals, each just below the federal reporting limit. It wasn't just one bank, but one kept coming up more than the others. Greenwell Mutual, Mom's bank. I hadn't told my family that I was involved in the investigation. It was confidential, technically, but I had clearance to review the transaction data internally and knew exactly who to ask. I sent a quick message to Theo, the compliance officer overseeing our current case. Just a name, a date range, and a location. Within an hour, I had what I needed. Timestamps, withdrawal amounts, teller logs, 3 withdrawals from my mother's account, spaced 5 days apart. First, $20,000. Second, $15,000. Third, $15,000. Each one was done in person, not online. That was the first crack. They accused me of using online banking, said I was the only one with access, but if the money was taken in person, it wasn't me. I clicked the attached security footage link. Low resolution, but clear enough. The first video loaded. Greenwell. Mutual, October 10th, 2:13 p.m. A young woman approached the counter nervously, glancing over her shoulder. Blonde ponytail, gray hoodie, large sunglasses. At first I thought maybe someone hired a proxy. A stranger paid to impersonate Mom. But then the girl stepped closer to the camera, pulled down her mask to speak to the teller. Lisa. Even with the grainy footage, I knew that face. I had babysat. That face, watched it blow out birthday candles and cry over failed boyfriends. She was fidgeting, tapping her fingers on the counter. She handed over what looked like Mom's ID and signed something. Her handwriting hadn't changed since high school. Ma leaned back in my chair, the motel light flickering above me. They hadn't just stolen the money. They had planned it, thought through the timing, waited until I helped Mom go digital, then used that as cover to frame me. I opened the second video. October 15th, same branch. This time it was David. No disguise, no nervous energy, calm and confident. He joked with the teller, signed off like he owned the account. The third video. Lisa again, same hoodie, different sunglasses. The arrogance of it made my skin crawl. But there was still a missing piece. How had they gotten access to Mom's ID and account info? Then I remembered something. 2 weeks before, I helped Mom set up the app. She had outpatient tests at the hospital. Nothing serious, just preliminary scans. Lisa had volunteered to stay overnight with her. Mom's purse had been with her the whole time. Her checkbook, her bank statements, her driver's license. That's where it started, but it didn't end there. Checked the metadata from the account setup. The first login after I left town had come not from Mom's phone, but from a tablet linked to the home Wi-Fi, same IP address Lisa used when she streamed Netflix, and the OTP, one-time password, was sent to an alternate email I hadn't registered. I looked it up. The recovery phone number belonged to David. They weren't just sloppy, they were arrogant. They thought no one would question it, not if the successful daughter was the obvious culprit, not if the rest of the family spoke with one voice. I closed the laptop. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It wasn't a moment of desperation or a borrowed amount gone wrong. It was fraud, and they had used my love for Mom as the smokescreen. I zipped the laptop bag closed and picked up the phone, not to call the police, not yet. I called my office instead, Asked Theo for something specific, the printouts of the teller signatures. I'd need them for comparison. Then I slid open my suitcase and pulled out a slim black folder, the kind I used for courtroom presentations. If they wanted a villain in the family, I'd show them what it looked like when the villain kept receipts. I didn't call ahead. I drove. Back Monday afternoon, just as the sunlight hit that golden slant it always did between Halloween and Christmas, the kind of light that used to make the house feel like home. Not today. The driveway was full. David's SUV, Lisa's compact, Mom's old sedan. No guests, just family. I parked at the curb, sat for a moment, engine ticking, hands resting on the leather folder in my lap, the one that held every receipt, every timestamp, every lie they thought no one would notice. Then I stepped out, walked up the porch steps, and let myself in. The house smelled like chicken broth and rosemary. The kitchen lights were on. I could hear the low murmur of conversation, the clatter of silverware, a laugh that didn't belong to me anymore. I found them all in the kitchen. Lisa perched on the counter, coffee mug in hand, legs swinging like she was 13 again. David leaned against the fridge, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Mom stood by the sink, drying dishes with slow, practiced movements. Dad was stirring something on the stove. They looked up as I entered, and everything stopped. Nobody said anything. I walked past them to the island and placed the folder on the smooth wooden surface where we used to roll out cookie dough. Then I opened it. "You believed I stole from Mom," I said quietly. "Let me show you what really happened." The air changed, subtle like before a storm. I pulled out the first photo, a still from the bank's security footage. Lisa in sunglasses, leaning over a teller's counter, signing a form. October 10th, $20,000. Not online, not me. No one moved, not even Lisa. The second photo showed David, smiling in a navy sweater, handing over a check. October 15th, $15,000. I could feel my voice trembling at the edges, not from anger, but restraint. These were not strangers. These were the people I had grown up with. Lisa's fingers gripped her mug tighter. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I laid down the teller slips. Same branch, same signatures. "I matched them against your handwriting, Lisa," from that note on the fridge last week. A beat passed. Then Lisa finally spoke. Her voice was thinner than I remembered. "You went through our stuff." I tilted my head almost gently. "You went through Mom's." Mom reached for the documents, eyes scanning the print, her hands unsteady. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, almost pleading. "But the bank, they said it was done online." "That's what they thought," I said, "but the withdrawal itself wasn't. The online access came later from a tablet connected to your Wi-Fi. The account was set to recover through an email tied to David's phone number." A silence settled over the kitchen like falling snow. Dad stopped stirring. Lisa looked away. David stared at the floor like he might find a different truth down there. "You let me think my daughter stole from me," Mom whispered. She wasn't looking at anyone in particular, maybe not even me. "You told me not to come home," I said, quieter still. "And you never asked if I did it." That was what stung. Not the accusation, not even the threat of lawyers, but the absence of the question. Finally, Lisa looked at me, her face twisted, not with guilt, but bitterness. "You always get everything. The job, the praise, the respect. I just wanted to level the field." I studied her for a long moment. She looked older than last week, or maybe I was finally seeing her for the first time. "You didn't level anything," I said. "You burned it." David cleared his throat. His voice was flat. "She'll be fine. Rachel makes more than all of us combined." It wasn't personal. I let out a slow breath, fighting the chill crawling up my spine. It's always personal when it's family. I watched Mom sit slowly at the table, folder still open before her, her hands resting in her lap, palms up, as if she didn't know what to do with them. Dad finally spoke. "Rachel, what are you going to do?" I met his eyes for the first time in days. I didn't feel like the child in the room. "I'm not pressing charges, but I've sent the file to the family attorney. You can decide what to do with it." He nodded once, tired, older than I remembered. I zipped the folder shut. My hands moved on their own, muscle memory from years of meetings and investigations. This time it felt final. "You told me not to come back unless I returned the money," I said. "I didn't take the money, but I brought the truth." I waited just long enough for the words to land. Then I turned. "Rachel!" Mom's voice broke. I paused at the doorway. "Thanksgiving's over," I said. "You all made sure of that." I left the house without another word. Didn't take the folder, didn't take the pie, just my keys and whatever part of me still believed they would have chosen me. I didn't drive home right away. I sat in my car outside the house for a while, watching the kitchen window from the curb. No one followed me out. The lights stayed on. Lisa's laughter didn't return. David didn't open the door to say anything. No one came running down the driveway to apologize. And that, more than anything, told me everything I needed to know. Back in Boston, the city felt sharper, quieter. I returned to work as if nothing had happened, but I wasn't quite the same. I stopped calling on Sunday nights, didn't check the family group chat, left the voicemail icon blinking on my phone for 3 full days before I listened to it. It was from Mom. "Rachel, we were wrong. I know that now. I didn't want to believe it. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive us. I just wanted you to know the house feels empty." She hung up before the minute mark. 2 weeks passed, then a letter came. Real paper, real envelope. Inside was a photo of me, Lisa, and David, ages 6, 8, and 10, sitting on the back porch in mismatched Halloween costumes. I was the scarecrow. Lisa had tinfoil wings, and David was just covered in red paint. On the back of the photo was a single line. "We didn't know how much we would miss you until you were gone." No signature. David didn't reach out. Neither did Lisa. But according to a cousin who still lived nearby, they both moved out of the house. Mom stopped speaking to them, said she needed space. I didn't ask what that meant. I didn't offer to come back. Instead, I made something new. I started a weekend seminar at the community college, financial protection for older adults. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt like something I could control. One Saturday after class, an older woman came up and said, "I wish I had a daughter like you." I smiled politely, didn't say what I was thinking. So did mine once. December came and went without a tree, without a call, without the annual ornament exchange I used to plan. There's a kind of grief no one prepares you for, the kind that comes not from death, but from the realization that the people you love chose someone else's version of you over your own. And once they made that choice, they couldn't take it back. I still keep the folder. It's not in my office, not on my desk, just in a drawer near the bookshelf under old tax returns and a copy of the mortgage. I haven't opened it since that night. I don't need to, because the facts haven't changed. And neither have I. As the months progressed, the ache of that Thanksgiving night lingered, but I found solace in my new routine. The seminar I started quickly gained traction. Each weekend, I met with a diverse group of older adults eager to learn how to protect themselves from financial fraud. With every session, I felt a sense of purpose returning to my life. I was no longer just an accused daughter. I was an advocate, helping others navigate the complexities of their finances and ensuring they didn't fall victim to the same betrayal I had experienced. I poured my heart into the curriculum, drawing from my professional expertise as a forensic accountant. I shared stories, anonymized, of course, of the schemes I had uncovered in my career, weaving in practical strategies and tips. The participants responded with gratitude, their faces lighting up as they grasped concepts that once seemed daunting. It was rewarding to watch them gain confidence, to see them leave each session feeling empowered. Yet, despite my growing success, there were moments when the shadows of my family's betrayal crept back in. Late at night, I would find myself staring at the ceiling, memories of laughter and warmth from family gatherings replaying in my mind. I missed the connection, the feeling of being part of something bigger. But the choice they made, the choice to doubt me, had severed that bond. One evening, as I was closing up the seminar room after a particularly engaging session, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen and saw a message from an unknown number. Curious, I opened it. It was a text from Lisa. "Can we talk? I know things have been rough. I miss you." My heart raced. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to maintain the distance I had established, but another part, a part that still missed my sister, felt a flicker of hope. I took a deep breath. my fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Why now?" I typed back, my stomach churning. A few moments later, the response came. "Because I've been thinking a lot about everything. I regret how things went down. I want to explain." I stared at the screen, weighing my options. I wasn't sure I was ready to dive back into the emotions that had caused me so much pain. But curiosity gnawed at me. What could she possibly say that would change anything? "Fine," I replied, "but I can't promise anything." We agreed to meet the following weekend at a small cafe halfway between our homes. As the day approached, I felt a mix of anticipation and dread. I arrived early, finding a quiet corner table where I could gather my thoughts. The cafe buzzed with life, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the sweet scent of pastries. I watched as people came and went, families chatting and laughing, friends sharing stories. It all felt so foreign to me now. When Lisa finally walked in, my heart sank. She looked different. Older, perhaps. There was a weariness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. As she spotted me, she hesitated for a moment before making her way over. "Hey," she said softly, sliding into the seat across from me. "Hey," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. A heavy silence settled between us. I could see she was searching for the right words. Finally, she spoke. "I know you probably hate me for what happened, but I want you to know I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Then what did you mean?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. "Because it sure felt like you meant to frame me." I was jealous, Rachel. I thought if I could show Mom and Dad that I could do something impressive, maybe they would see me differently. By stealing from her? I didn't think of it that way. I thought I could pay it back and no one would know. But when everything fell apart, I panicked. I leaned back in my chair, processing her words. "And David, did he panic too?" Lisa looked down, her hands fidgeting with the edge of the table. "He didn't know at first, but when he found out, he was in too deep. We thought we could fix it." "Fix it?" I echoed incredulously. "By lying to everyone? By making me the villain?" "I know it sounds horrible," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But I was scared of losing Mom's love. I thought, if I could prove I was worthy, things would change." I studied her, searching for any hint of sincerity. And now? Now I see how wrong I was. I've missed you every day since. I can't change what happened, but I want to try to make things right. "Make things right?" I repeated. "How do you plan to do that?" "I want to help you with the seminar. I want to be part of something good. I've learned a lot from my mistakes, and I think I can contribute." I was taken aback. "You think that's enough to make up for what you did?" "It's a start," she said, her voice steadier now. "I want to show you I can be trusted. I want to earn your forgiveness." The tension in my chest eased slightly, but doubt still lingered. "I need time to think about this." "Of course," she said quickly, relief washing over her features. "I just wanted you to know I'm here." As we parted ways, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. It was fragile, but it was there. Maybe, just maybe, there was a path forward. As the weeks turned into months, I began to open myself to the possibility of rebuilding my relationship with Lisa. We started talking more frequently, and she even began attending the seminars, offering her perspective and insight. It was a slow process, filled with awkward moments and lingering tension, but I could see her genuine desire to make amends. One day, as we wrapped up a session, Lisa approached me with a nervous smile. "Can we talk?" "Sure," I replied, curious about what was on her mind. "I've been thinking," she began, "about how we could expand the seminar. Maybe offer workshops on identity theft or digital safety for seniors." I smiled, impressed by her enthusiasm. That could be great. We could really help a lot of people. As we brainstormed ideas, I felt a warmth spreading in my chest. Maybe this was what I needed, a chance to heal, to rebuild not just my relationship with Lisa, but also my faith in family. With every passing week, I started to believe in the power of forgiveness. The past would always be a part of us, but it didn't have to define our future. Together, we were forging a new path, one where trust could be rebuilt and love could flourish once again. And as I sat there discussing plans for our next seminar, I realized that while the journey toward healing was just beginning, I was finally ready to take that step forward.